Hello and welcome to Tuesday Night Edits, episode 27, I think. Yeah, 27. This is hopefully going to be a quick one, and hopefully there is sound and you can hear me. I'm actually starting either on time for a bloody change, or a few seconds early, because I have to go quickly. Nothing important. It's the final of the Great British Bake Off, and I would like to watch the entire program and not have to watch the end, and then go back to watch the beginning of it. So tonight is going to be a fairly quick stream. Hello to everybody out there so far. Hope you are all well. Please do let me know in chat that everything's working fine. Those of you that are out there, the chat room's open whilst we're live, and if you're watching on catch up, please do leave a comment below. It would be wonderful. Yeah, bog standard things. If you don't know, and I haven't been here before on a Tuesday night, I'm Andy Gray, and I am a Northumbrian-based photographer over in the UK, and I shoot ICM and abstract stuff, and do a hell of a lot of processing to make things look like paintings, basically. And Tuesday Night Edits is generally about showing you how I do all this kind of stuff. Tonight might be a little bit different, because it is... Yes, Alan, I am serious. I've been watching it the entire series. I enjoy my Great British Bake Off. Try saying that after 4 cups of tea. And I can't wait to watch the final. So let me have these small pleasures in life. Yeah, so tonight's going to be a little bit shorter because that starts at 8 o'clock. And it is 7:30. So we're going to rattle through today's show, if you want to call it a show. So anyways, kicking things off. The film camera, which I showed off in last week's stream, and I also chopped that up into a separate video which I posted a couple of days ago. So if you don't want to wade you through last week's stream, then there's a shortened version just about the film camera, which is on my channel now. So been given this film camera. I've only got out of the 36 exposures. Hello DL, Victoria, Canada. That's quite a distance. Have you even heard of the Great British Bake Off? I know the Americans do a version, but anyways. Anywho, the film camera. I'm a few exposures away from finishing the first 36 exposures, and then I'll be sending that off and seeing what comes back. Hopefully something. Because I really don't want to have wasted 15 quid on film and probably another 15 quid on getting it developed just to see that there's nothing come back. So hopefully that's going to be fine. I will show you the results of them either in a live stream or a separate video in due course once I've finished them off, sent them off, waited for them to come back, scanned, etc. Subbed into my ice cream or something because they're crap or haven't come out. So we'll see how that goes. But looking forward and intrigued to seeing them. And actually remembering what I've shot with them. Because I can't remember everything I've shot with them. Which isn't the delight of film. You know, picking up a camera that's probably sat in a drawer for 15 years and then you're like, oh, there's 10 exposures left, you finish it off and then you realise you've got something you'd completely forgotten about later on. But, so yeah, a few things to mention before we get much further on. Not this weekend coming, it's the following weekend is the Connected exhibition and workshops. So that's the 10th and the 10th is the exhibition with Alistair Ross giving a talk, and the 11th is the workshops in various places around North Yorkshire, so being Staithes, Whitby and Southgate, which is kind of Middlesbrough. And I'm involved in the Middlesbrough one. So there is a link below if you want any details on that. There are still places on the workshops, but probably getting very few and far between now. So if you're interested in there and you're in the northern area of the country, then you may well be interested in coming along there. Should be a good weekend or little Sunday anyway. So I'll be there on the Sunday, co-leading the walk at Paddy's Hill in Southgate. So like I say, just hit the link below. There's a link about that, full details on there and how to book and stuff. And there are a few places left, I've been told. One link that isn't below is a link to my shop, which I'm really bad. I shouldn't really be shilling everything at the start of these shows. I should be doing it more spaced out at the end. andrewsgray.photography/shop, and there is products there for a change. And on there are my new collection box sets. So there's a box set for 2017, which there's 10 A4 prints in each box. Limited edition of 20 boxes. And then there's a Inland Northumbrian Castles collection box set, and that's a limited edition of 25. And there's three prints in that, and there's 3 prints in Northumbrian Coastal Castles collection. So if you are interested in owning any of my prints in a smaller format, then please do hit up that link, which when I come to edit this or adjust all the metadata afterwards, I'll add in that link. I only put it live this week, so I haven't quite got there, or was it last week? Anyhow, andrewsgray.photography/shop for those. So tonight's episode, it was really just to do a quick one. And what I actually did this week, I think it was Sunday when I was editing, I had a one-to-one, I had a group workshop on Saturday. Some really nice lads, very keen to learn, and went away happy, which is always good. But so I was showing them some of my latest stuff, and and if you were here last week, you'll notice that you'll remember I made an image of Lindisfarne Priory. So I've actually been through more of that, been through more of that initial data, and actually made more images from Lindisfarne Priory. And one of them images, I actually managed to make 4 images out of just the one. So I thought tonight, as it's going to be, make it a quicker episode, then I would talk you through how that came about and how big the variances can be, using that initial starting data with my style of ICM, and how things have put together. So I just thought I'll go through that with you, show you kind of how things, the big changes, and then possibly even make a 5th one out of that same data, depending on time. So let's switch over to the main screen, and you'll see I have this, and this is actually, just scroll up to, let's move that up there so I can see more of my layers. So as you can see here, we've got this image has been put together from 5 separate frames. That base one's fine. This one's had a mask applied just to take out a few elements that dominated. Certainly at the top of this tree, I needed to remove that because it just dominated, made a horrible second impression on there. This next frame had everything was getting very dark, so I had to mask out quite a bit of it to keep things fairly light. You can You can see that's just a line across the bottom. This next one was to retain a bit of detail in the middle. You can see that's the mask. That was just to remove. See, it's not quite with that taken out. It lost the right hand side of the ruin. So I wanted to retain that, but keep the surroundings quite light. So only laid, only kept in that small area in the middle there, and then this top layer has an opacity of 65, and that was really just so things weren't getting too bright. Sometimes when you overlay these things, you'll know from following me that a lot of my stuff ends up being very red, and that's generally I am shooting in. I mean, this was taken in dawn light, not long after sunrise, so the light that was hitting it was very warm. Hi John, good to see you. Thank you for coming along. I think you emailed me the other week, didn't you? About some of your work. So thank you very much for coming along. Yeah, so because things can get very red when you layer these together, I do tend to dial them back just using the opacity slider, just so nothing starts off red. I'll be turning things red later on, but just really to scale things back. And with this one especially, I'm almost getting the image to the point where, like putting all the layers together, I've actually constructed a good base image, which to a lot of people would probably be fine and they would maybe post this. But as you know, I use Analog Effects Pro 2 from the Nick collection to enhance further, which is maybe is where 80 or 90% of my style comes from. Again, from this base starting image, I've added an overlay of colour, this warmer orangey tone, and that's with a fairly low opacity of 30%, and it's also using the hue blend mode, so it has a minimal effect, but it's really there to dull the sky down. So if I remove it, you can see the sky is really quite blue. If I add that in, the sky's just warmed up a touch. It's no longer a vivid blue. It's a bit duller, and that'll just help with blending colours later on when we're in Analog Effects Pro. So I'm almost making a finished image to start with by constructing the pieces together. You'll see, on the screen here, within the ruins, there's various archways that are still in place. There's window openings and things like that. So I really built this base up to really show those features off that are still prevalent to the ruins. So once I had this image all put together, as you know, that I usually head into Analog Effects Pro and see what I'm going to make in there. And I'd made one image, which I think was, no, it wasn't that one. It wasn't that one. Sorry. I think it was this one I made first, which pretty happy with it. I've been making a lot of more washed out kind of images, so very much more of a lighter touch, lighter tones. Not a lot of darkness and contrast and shadow. So really quite light, as if just painted very lightly. So this one came about, quite liked it, but I also, when I was making it, I always start with my presets that I have on the left hand side of Analog Effects Pro, and going through there and using that base image. I could see there was a few options, so it was a case of, well, I was going to make one image, go through the whole motion, making an image, and then come out and then make another one, and so on and so forth, because there were so many options down that side. So I think I did it over a couple of days. It might have been started Saturday night, and then I went back into it on Sunday to make another few options. Because of the way I work, a lot of my work is on options. I'll take hundreds of images when I'm out. I'll come back and narrow that down to 50, 60, 70, 80 kind of number, and then out of those pick out blocks of 4 or 5 images to work on, and then out of that those 4 or 5 frames that I blend together, might get one image out, and then it's just not good enough to post or keep or whatever. But sometimes these images come together well, and you can maybe even get a few out of them. So it's all about maximizing options for me. So if I've got a good set of data, I'm not just going to make one image out of it. I'm going to actually push it as far as I can get and get multiple images out of it, which is what I've done in this case. Because the next one I have is, I'll show you this one, which is another very washed out image. I mean, if you know Lindisfarne Priory, you'll know it. It sits next to a harbour, but there's no water anywhere near it. But to me, this kind of image doesn't necessarily need to be Lindisfarne Priory. It can be just like some romantic ruins somewhere. And to me, just the way this area here is quite blurred out. It almost looks like a reflection on water. Maybe with a bit of mist surrounding it. Use your imagination. Picture these things. So I was quite pleased with that one as well. And again, another one I would quite happily post on social media, stick in a print sale, that kind of thing. So I was quite happy with that, and this one. This one took a little bit more work, and then again started bringing in darker elements again. The previous two being really quite light. This one, just the way things have blended together, we've got a lot more red. As the layers have come together, or that double exposure layer has interacted with, and using other sliders like saturation, contrast, brightness, and levels and curves adjustments. They've all interacted to bring in the usual reds that come with my images. So this one came together quite nicely. I quite like the shapes of it. I still like the behind the ruins was still quite light, but there was some real by layering things up, there was a bit of nice detail in the tree here, and the change of colour from the reds right through to the yellows across the width of the ruin. I thought it worked quite well. A hint of a stroke of a brush or so over on this side, so it wasn't just fully it wasn't overly one-sided. It wasn't unbalanced. There was a bit. This bit anchors the image on the left hand side as you're looking at it. So that one came together well. And then, to be honest, I think this one is better than the other two. So I've been more inclined to make this one a bit more. I was going to say a bit more exclusive. I would maybe take more care about pushing this one out into the world with a bit more of a structured marketing plan behind it, rather than just firing it out on Instagram at 11 o'clock at night when there's nobody looking really. So I'd be looking to post this one at a time where I'm more likely to get more eyes on it. Because do think about these kind of things. Look at your social media stuff, and when things are getting the most interaction, and and hit your hotspots for them. So there's a little tip there how I work on. So I was really happy with this, but obviously I'd looked through the presets and seen there was still still options there. And then the final one I made was this one, and this one actually took a little bit more work to come together. A bit more a bit more thought about positioning and bringing elements in, using the second exposure, the double overlaying double exposure, just so we've got a bit more definition in this kind of area. Obviously the tree on the right hand side being there and not just wiped out because the light part of the second exposure has just wiped it out. So just balancing things up, keeping colours nice. I'm really happy with these yellow tones of the building. As somebody that has always used like Turner as an inspiration of these, looking at some of his work, I can see some of these colours in his work, and that's really why I make these colour choices, to push in those directions. So I was really happy with this. Well, I did have to do a little bit more work to it. How much more work did I have to do to it? Yeah, it started straight out of Analog Effects Pro. It had come out like this, a bit darker, and obviously I didn't want to keep it as dark as this. Adding in some curves to lighten it, but you've still got quite a bit of these brightish oranges in this case, say in this kind of area, and also the way the sky has happened, just with overlaying that double exposure. The skies kind of come in very bright, adding in like reds and oranges in amongst the sky. So I had to adjust those, and I did those in Viveza and just really knocked things back a bit. In fact, you can see as I flick between the two, that is quite a bit more reduced from the vibrancy has come back quite a bit. So it does look more like an aged painting now than something straight out of some Google automated processed image that's on your phone. A friend of mine showed me an image, a photograph they'd taken this, I think he'd taken yesterday at the beach. Showed us what straight out of the camera one, and then showed us what Google had done to process it automatically. And it was we all have a laugh at nuclear images, but this was just bonkers. Yellow clouds and almost turquoisey skies. It was awful. So I don't know how they call that improving an image, but never mind. So those were the 4 images I made, and really quite happy with all of them. I'll just go through them again. That one, maybe's my favourite of the 4. That one was a nice romantic start. This one is probably the weakest of the lot. I'm still not that sure that I've got the colouring quite right on the building. I think that could maybe, if I spent 5 minutes just playing with that, could improve it quite significantly. But we'll see if I do go back to tweaking it a touch. And then the last one I made, which between this one and not that one. This one and that one, it's a toss-up which one I prefer, but I think they are both quite strong images. I'm really pleased with how they turned out, and to be able to get 4 images out of one set of data. They all came from this base, this starting point, this base. So I'm just overjoyed that I've now got 4 options to potentially put in the exhibition next year. I don't think I would put 2 of these options in, purely because it's the same location. I don't want to be, repeating things too much. But it has made me want to. Well, I'm planning to go back later, probably Friday if the weather behaves itself, because I've got clients on Thursday and Sunday. I'm probably busy Saturday. So I'm hoping to get back up there and actually shoot from the other side of the priory in the late afternoon sun. So hopefully the sun comes out. This week's been a bit pants in the weather so far. I mean, it's only Tuesday, but the forecast for tomorrow's not great. And of course, Lindisfarne being a tidal island, you've got to be across at a certain time, and I think it's later in the week when the tides will actually work out better for visiting and getting home in time. Getting home. So that was, basically, how sometimes pretty rare though, you can get multiple images from one starting point using Analog Vex Pro and my TideNet techniques. And of course, if you want a head start with Analog Vex Pro, then I do have my presets to give you that head start, which you can get from the following address: bit.ly.com/AEP2presets. So you can get that head start, which I use a lot as well. There's no point reinventing the wheel every single time. So it shortens my time to bring these images together, and it also gives me plenty of ideas as I process as well. So as we've got a few. Hi John. I don't actually do multiple exposures in camera. I own a Nikon D700 which has multiple exposures, but it only has the average blend mode, so it doesn't really. It's not conducive to what I'm trying to achieve, and I can't afford a Canon 5D Mark III or whatever. I mean, there's others that do it now. I can't afford them that have got them in the in camera multi exposures with the darken and lighten blend modes, which are quite distinctive. If you look at Valder Bailey's work, Doug Chinnery's work, Chris Friel's work, they're all using in camera multiple exposures, but they're all Canon shooters. I'm a Nikon shooter. The Nikon D500 does have it, but that's still way out of my price range, so I won't be doing it. So, and I also like the control of being able to do it in post as well. I am a person that enjoys the Photoshop and post-processing side of stuff. I probably enjoy this more than actually being out shooting. Being out shooting, it means having to get in the car and drive half an hour, whatever, wherever you're going. I'd rather be sat in the comfort in the house working on a screen. That's just the way I am. So I do all my multiple exposures in post, and it just gives you that bit more control. I know with the really newer cameras you can't actually see before you've taken it how things are going to layer up. But I can't afford £3.5 grand on a new camera, so won't be doing it. So it is Photoshop and manual, blending and post-processing for me. So we are just before 8 o'clock. Just for a laugh, let's see if we can get one more image out of this. If I can do it in 5 minutes, we'll do it. Come on. Sorry, things have been a bit slow. We're loading now. We're just going to see if we can get one more quick image out of this data. So let's have a. Some of these might actually come from the same starting point as others. That I used to get the other images. Let's look at this one to start with. Yeah, that's quite a nice starting point. So with these I will just generally start manoeuvring the second exposure around just to see how things look. I think that starting point was probably the best. I have found with some of these images, because there's been such harsh lines, actually the second the overlay and exposure has been difficult to position nice, complementary to the scene, just because even though they're ruins, there's a very straight edge. It's been hard to layer on. So in this, I really like this area here, and it's just a case I'm going to have to maneuver things around to adjust the rest of the image, because I'm not liking all this red up here. Bring that. The middle's going to be good for that. Lighten that. But you can see it's getting far too bright in the middle, so using the tone curve at the at the highlights end, just going to really bring that down to reduce all that brightness in the back. And I'm actually going to make it quite washed out, so I'm going to just take that blacks away from there. Flatten out a bit as well. Hopefully this blue adjustment should take a bit of sting out of that overbearing yellow in the middle. Don't think it's going to though. Don't want to add in too much blue, because it can be pretty tricky on the eyes, really, to be able to see what you're doing. Right, that's uncool. Okay, I'm going to strengthen that down a bit. Knock the faded up to about there. Check the basic adjustments. Dark there. Pull out some detail. Roughly about there. So start that, do a quick visit into Viveza just to sort some of the colouring out. Hop straight into Viveza there, wait for that to load up as well. That's still quite overly yellow, so I'm just going to use the hue slider, which is a great slider within Viveza, just to adjust the overall tone of it. I don't want to go too far that way. There's like smack down the middle, it's quite yellow, but if I go to the right, it's going to go green, but it's not going to lose any of that vibrancy. So, God, it's a tricky one, this one. So maybe it's about there. I'm actually going to bring the saturation down, so it is going to be a very washed out kind of image. Contrast now, I want to keep that up, because I still want to retain this kind of this area, because I think that's a really nice part of it. A bit of a better, softer, not so glary on the eyes. So the next thing is to try to remove some of this orange from the top part of the image. I'd like to get rid of some of that. Hopefully do that with the hue blend mode, not the hue blend mode, the hue slider. Just enough to take it away a touch. Just copy these across the image. What that will have done, it will have affected the buildings there, so I might have to just adjust those, add in a bit of blue. It's a bit better. Drop in a control point on the buildings. So we'll make it quite edgy, but it should retain a little bit more, bit stronger colour in that area there, which I think it's kind of done alright. Hard to see with the lights shining straight in my face. Warm that up a little bit. Right, come over that, because what we can do, of course, is just blend the two together. So they come out on separate layers. Actually, that's not too bad. I'll maybe bring this base through, so just kind of stick a mask on, a soft semi-opaque brush, just to kind of paint that area in. Move a bit from that side as well. No, not from there. It's looking bad. Not the best, but it's another, it's another option. You can see how, even we've already got four shots from that. Then, so what we'll do, I'll just save that as the main one. Save as, and eventually it'll do it. Come on. Save as 5. Okay. So that's saving the entire thing again. So I think each of these images have ended up being about 500 meg. So that's quickly filling my hard drive up. So that's saving that out, and it'll eventually come back into Lightroom. So hopefully you've it's kind of opened you up to options with the way I work with. I mean, you can do it with any kind of style photography. If you've got a good base image, then you can do 3 or 4 good edits of it to get 3 or 4 very different images. It doesn't just apply to ICM work and using Analog Effects Pro or any of this. It can work with any style of photography. So try it if you're out there and you've got a good landscape shot. Process it very differently, in 3 ways, and see what you can get. And if you've had a go at ICM and you've got a good base image, have a go with these. Try my presets out. Get yourself a head start, or do your own style of processing, but do 3 or 4 different versions of that same image, and push it in very in quite different directions. Amazing what you might get. You might get something very, very abstract, and something that actually helps you develop your own style as well. So do play, do experiment. No worries, DL. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming along and watching. So yeah, give it a go. Get a decent image. I mean, like if you're thinking normal landscapes, do a black and white version alongside a color version, a saturated color version, or a different crop, all from the same frame. Just try getting different things, and help. It'll help not only your processing but maybe your visualization when you're out in the field as well. So just give it a go. That's your challenge for the week. Right then, gone along a little bit past 8 o'clock. It's now 10 past, so it is time for me to retire and watch the great final of the Great I wish I could see it. We'll just call it Bake Off. So I'm off to watch Bake Off. Thank you all very much for watching. Sorry tonight's been a little bit shorter, but maybe that might encourage people to actually watch on catch up, because I'm sure when they go onto YouTube and say, "Good God, he's talked for an hour and a half," I'm sure people skip them. So if they're shorter, hopefully people might actually watch a little, click on them and watch for a little bit longer. So thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, please do leave a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe and tell your friends, share it around. It's all good. And if you want any prints, hit my website up, andrewsgray.photography/shop. So until next week, which should be back to normal. Don't think there's anything important on the telly next week. So till then, see ya.